Hey guys, thank you for tuning back into Aldous Barbecue. So I've fixed up my Champion Pit Boss barrel smoker. Well, let's get some beef ribs smoking on there today. I picked up these beef ribs from my local butcher and they look absolutely outstanding. I've got minimal trim and I have some fantastic intermuscular fat there. I expect these to be full of flavour. Those of you watching probably know that with beef ribs, they're a little bit different to pork ribs. Some people like to take off that membrane with a knife and rip it off, but for me, you don't really eat around the bone. So all I'm going to do is score that membrane so I can try and get a little bit of additional flavour into the rib. My trim is very minimal here, just a couple of bits of hard fat that I wish to remove. I'm then going to give my top layer of fat a little score as well. Next to my binder, and personally, I love using yellow mustard as a binder on all forms of beef. Simply cover all your sides. I'm now going to hit these beef ribs with some kosher salt. For an awesome colour and an awesome bark, I'm also going to be using this hardcore carnival black. Once the meat is all prepped, cover it up so no flies can sit on it, and then go and start your fire. As Rod says, the best time of the cook, let's light it up. I'm using a combination here of lumpwood charcoal as well as some briquettes. My top and side dampers will be pretty much fully open while I'm getting this up to temp. For my setup today, I'm going to be cooking on my middle rack, but on the bottom rack, I'm going to put a tray of water. This is just so I can regulate the temperature, but also let it act like a bit of a water smoker to a certain degree, so I can get some nice tenderness into these ribs. I'll also hook up my ThermPro. Alright, so she's fired up. I'm going to try and get up to about 200, and then what I'm going to do is start closing it off and try and maintain a temperature of around 250 to 275 for this one. Once I get up to temperature, I close my dampers off to minimal there. I'm hitting about 270 degrees, which is where I want to be. So in goes the beef ribs. For this smoke, I'm using some cherry chunks for that smoke flavour. Alright, we are 1 hour and 15 minutes into the cook. From what I can see, I'm at 257 degrees Fahrenheit in terms of the temperature of the barrel smoker. And the meat's at 128. So I'm going to have a little look now. I haven't opened it yet. Give it a little spray with some water and throw in some more cherry chunks. Not much change yet. But what I want to do is just keep the smoking away for around 2.5 hours so I can get as much flavour into those ribs as possible. We're now 2.5 hours into the smoke. About 30 minutes ago I threw in some more cherry chunks. I've also opened up my dampers very slightly, just a couple of mils, and I'm now maintaining around that 275 degrees. So let's wrap it up and finish off this cook. So I'm just starting to pull back off the bone. Let's get this thing wrapped. I'm going to be using butcher's paper today. Sometimes I'll wrap this with some beef stock, for example, but because the intermuscular fat in these ribs was so good, I think I'm going to get some beautiful flavour just from the fat alone. I'm also going to put these ribs on a foil boat. Back into the smoker until these ribs are probing soft and tender and are ready for a rest. Alright, I am almost 2.5 hours wrapped. I thought this thing would be done by now. The temperature is telling me 192. So I've had a quick feel and it's probing very, very tender. So I'm just going to give it another 10 to 15 minutes and then we'll pull it out and let it rest. The magic temperature is usually in the 200 degrees Fahrenheit, but these ribs were probing extremely soft and I was in the mid-90s. So, time to pull them off and let them have a rest. I'm going to let these rest uncovered for around 25 minutes. In that boat, there was plenty of rendered down, juicy beef fat. In terms of appearance, they look fantastic, but let's slice it up. We've got a great looking smoke ring. The knife was gliding. I don't usually like doing the push down juice test, but just look at the juices flowing out of those beef ribs. Alright, this beef rib looks incredible. So tender, so juicy, but let's give it the all-important taste test. That's amazing. That is one of the most tender, juiciest racks of beef ribs I've ever cooked. That Pit Boss Champion barrel smoker produces the goods again. Absolutely delicious. I'm going to go and have some more inside. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll catch you again in the next one. Catch you later. Cubing this beef rib up, it was so tender and so juicy. But if I'm being perfectly honest with myself, I probably over-seasoned it on the salt just a little bit too much because there was a little bit too much salt there. So next time, I'm going to be cooking this exactly the same way, but less seasoning, and then I'll have pretty much a perfect rib. Thanks for watching, guys. See you again in the next one.